And see if I cut off this one. Hopefully I'm just going to be able to point and shoot. I went and recorded a 15-minute video and then I couldn't upload it. So I'm just going to talk to you back and point where I was before on my charts. So I think we got to here, and then what was in our water, and how it affects the whole insurance business. And then what my friend Andrea did is phoned her local water plant and asked them if they were testing for this before or after it went into the plant. The answer was after. Why? Why are you testing it after it comes out? Why not before? Anyone have an answer for that? Why would the U of A be testing for this in our water after? Thank you, Andrea. I really appreciate for you phoning and sharing your knowledge. So what I can glean from that piece of information is there might be a little bit more going on at these facilities than we care to report on. So one of the things I got cut off, and I don't know if you heard me, but I'll repeat it. The number one thing in H2O is POOP. Yeah, you got it. You got it right. So what I learned way back in the day when I was taking a food safe course is when people had, and I'm going to tie this all together to make sense. Oops, this pen sucks. This pen stinks. There we go. There's a good one. When people have this, or they think they have this, and they go running off to the doctor, guess what this is? 80 to 90% of the time, when they go to the doctor, it's not this. It's because they have, it's like food contamination, improper washing of hands. It's all to do with not washing our hands properly and not taking care of how we prepare food. Like a lot of people don't know what to do with chicken, or how when you take food off the stove, you got to let it cool for 2 hours before you put it into your fridge. People are like, what are you talking about? Soups have to come to a complete, there's a whole regiment on food safe that people do not know about at all. I know a lot of my friends do not know. I'm not saying my friends don't know it, but there's a lot of people who don't know basic food safety. So we all know about the different cutting boards and stuff, but there's a lot of even food cooling that people don't participate in, or they'll leave food out on their counter for a really long time and eat it. Well, that's what's causing your stomach to create all this nastiness going on, and running to use this TP. You've always got any TP? I love using that phrase. Anyways, so what I'm getting at is if way back when everybody was thinking that they had this, but it's because they didn't wash, then they're getting sick. So now people think that this is all in our air and everywhere, when it could very well be in what's coming out of this facility here. I'll just put it down so people know what I'm talking about. And notice what it's called. So in Calgary, I don't think it's like literally these little things come out. I think it's maybe within 3 miles, 3 kilometers, that water treatment plant. So this is all coming as runoff. You can actually see toilet paper sometimes in this river when you're floating in it down the bow. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm not kidding you. I've seen toilet paper, among other things. But I'm not saying it came out of here, but you catch my drift. So if it's all like going into that and they're testing it when it comes out, then you have to wonder what's even in these clouds, because it's just a cycle. Like, it goes through our bodies, it goes on the plants, and it goes back into the clouds, and it goes din-din-din, and it's like a big cycle. That's what water is. We all learned that in grade 4. 5, maybe. So, but we didn't learn what they were doing or testing in there. So the other thing I wanted to talk about simply that got cut off in my video and I made in the other video. So here's my plane. This was supposed to be a guess. So for $1.35 of water, bottle of water, if you drank that water right here, it would take you 10 years and 4 months to refill the water in this bottle from your tap. One bottle of cheap $1.35 water. The number one thing that's found in most of these bottles is that. Now, why, you ask? Because when you go to land a plane, what do? Psh, get rid of all their gas, the extra gas. So that goes into the water table as well. Don't forget about what they spray on ski hills, and that's in our snow. So there's a ski hill I know that farmers' land is up here, say, and they all do the psh with their little tractors. I know because I got sick living in that area. So my face was so red, like on both sides, that old people would come up, "Have you been poisoned?" Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am being poisoned. But how do you get in that conversation? So they're spraying it on there. Then there's a ski hill where people are going, wee, down here. The artificial snow is being blown on here. And then at the end of the ski hill, there's an old junkyard for vehicles. Okay. And then a river, a nice, beautiful river. And that flows into a lake. And what did they do at the end of this river? This is one of the reasons I got fired many moons ago, is because someone spoke about what they were doing in that particular area. They're like, you're spreading it on here. This is all running down. Then you've got the dump site here. That's going into our water. Then you put 150 boat docks right here for people to park their boat for the summer. And guess where that runs down to? Farms. Okay? So a lot of things that, if you go watch Blue Gold, World Water Wars, which is excellent, you'll find a lot of who's profiting from water, number one. You'll also find out that the BUSH family, yes, those notorious little villains, they were going down into South America and all these poorer countries, and even in Africa, in India, they did it with Coca-Cola. They dam up the rivers so it's not flowing. It's full of bacteria. Everybody knows that no one goes into the Ganges River. It's like, forget about it. And then they bottle up the water. They sell it for $1.35, but then they'll sell a bottle of Coke for 25 cents. So people are buying Coca-Cola to drink to quench their thirst, and we all know that's battery acid. So the other questions I've asked is, how long is that water actually in that bottle of water? Nobody knows that. There's no time that it's put on there, and what's in it? Well, many tests by many random people have found that in it. That's a fact. Never mind all the other crap. That's a fact. Okay, whose job is it to test it? Well, in all of North America, in 2009, it was part of one person's job. Just part. Little teeny weeny part. So if they got a file about some toxic crap somewhere, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Well, I wonder who's paying them to do that job in the first place. And if it's only part of your job, then what's the rest of your job? Shouldn't it be more people's jobs? If this is the number one thing that's going into our body and that we all need, everything on the planet needs it. Everything. So again, who's allowed to profit? So one of the first bottles of water made, Evian, spelled backwards, naive. You got it, folks. So people are like, what can we do? I can't say these words, so I'm going to tell you. Okay. Now, I know that this works because I have used it myself. You can clean your water by doing these, and you can get this too to help its So I do this, which is 2 bottles, and then I add this to it. So this, I don't know if you can see it, but you can get that at your gardening center, and you can put it in your bathtub. I put, half a cup in sometimes. It's like clayish, and have a nice long bath with it. Everybody knows about this. That will help clean out your system. These will also help clean out niacin. That's good for flushing out your system. And these 2 things help with, I believe, and have always stood. That's why some of us who are awake have smoked a lot of that, because these open up, this opens up your brachial dilators. So that's why I think these work. Okay. So if you're looking to clean out your system or your water, not only get filters, but do these things to help flush out this, no matter what it is. Now, a lot of people are saying that you can't get this from water. Now, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm just going to talk about it briefly in the video about this stuff being in your water, okay? Now, to me, if you've watched the movie Venom, one came out in 2005 and one came out in 2018, okay? Now, in the one I watched the other day of 2018, this thing was an AI that was captured from outer space, okay? And it infiltrated a host until it found the right host. So it would basically kill whatever was living inside, and then jump to the next person, kill what was ever living inside, until they found a host that it was compatible with. Okay? Mentally too. So the host didn't know that it was actually in, because it came in the form of almost like water. So if we think about it in this is hypothetical in my opinion. I'm not here to argue with anyone. I never am here to argue. But this is just my rationale thinking, okay? Just bear with me for a second. Just a second, okay? Now, that theory has had a lot of documentation backing it up, and people are smacking it down, okay? My mentality thinking, going back to the first, where they're testing out of the treatment plant, okay? Why? Again, why are you testing water out of this treatment plant if you weren't putting something in it to cause it? You should be testing it before it goes in. Back to the Prozac in the water in Texas, beyond human consumption of that. So if we think about a drop of water being this big and nanotechnology being that big, is it really illogical to think that it can infiltrate us? Is it really illogical when these heavy metals have been coating our pineal all this time? Is it really illogical to think that a lot of this is beyond our realm of research? And some people do research like way more than the other person on specific timelines. So whether or not this is actually a truth, I can logically deduce how it's possible and how they told us. Because quite a few months ago, I did tell you about the Blacklist episode, and where they went in, and it's season 4, episode 15, and they specifically talk about how these little things can be tailored through and made to mimic like an allergic reaction specific to that host's body, attacking the kidneys, the lungs, the liver, the heart. What were we told about this disease? Where does it attack? The lungs, kidneys, liver, you got it all. So whether or not I can simply deduce in my own mentality how this happened, this makes sense to me. Might not make sense to anybody else, but it makes sense to me if it's eensy weensy. And we've been going on all this time making fun of people for wearing these big blue things on their face that ain't protecting them from crap. Then I just don't get how people can't see how this might work. So if you need more help in having an understanding on this type of technology, there is a lot of programs that are out there that explain this, like a ton of them that explain this. Any Marvel movie, Spider-Man, there you go. Every single character, I swear, in that movie has been infiltrated. Think about it, like for reals. So now this is why I'm saying it's so important to try and get it out of your system, no matter how you do it, whether it's, you know, any of the methods I shared with you before. So even if you don't believe this is true, what's the harm of doing these things and being healthy? What's the harm in doing these things for your family? None. So that's just my opinion with the water, and I'm sticking to it. So anyhow, I thought I would share all of that basic knowledge that I have. Yeah, they didn't like me saying a lot of those words before, so I got cut off. I don't even know if this video is still going. I hope so. But take care of yourselves and keep yourselves in higher vibrations going forward. Don't let this, like, honestly, people are like, oh my God, am I not supposed to have a bath anymore? Shower, get my kids out of the pool. Ah! Don't freak out. That's lower vibes. No fear. No fear. So dismiss that. I also believe that those who feel like they get sick will get sick. Those who feel like they're in some sort of thing they can't escape, that's, again, you co-create. You co-create your reality. So I've co-created the fact that I didn't need one of them blue things. I'm not getting sick. I didn't need this in my arm. I didn't need any of that stuff. So if you want to make your family feel better that got the JABs, tell them to go chew a pack of Nicorette gum. Take some of this. Here, come over. I got a little paste for you to try, or some little pills to give you for free. Whatever. Help your family out. Say, I got this new thing I'm going to give you. It's good for your digestion. I don't know. That's what I'm doing. I literally am trying to share the positive vibes with everyone. So don't let it drag you down. I've been like angry about where our water has and what they've been doing to it for probably 12 years. I'm like, why are you buying that bottled water? Why? And I have to tell you, when I was away on the trip across the country, I drank some bottled water. And I'm telling you, I've never felt sicker or more headache, more lethargic, more shitty. I'm literally trying to flush my body out from whatever the crappy water is that I drank. So know your own vibrations of your body and what you're actually doing to it. So, and I'm trying to get rid of all of the fear around anything moving forward, because in my timeline, I'm just gonna explain how I view my world and my timeline right now. Just as a little bonus on the end of this video, because it won't get me into any trouble. or shut off. I don't think so. I'm going to do it on the back of this one. Oopsie. Take off my sticker here and grab my felt pen. So the way I look at it is, let's just use this timeline. Okay. Let's make it real. Okay. So let's just say that was a real timeline. This is really happening. Okay. So, yes, it is. Yes, Paul, it is online. If you go to the blah.com, you can get it online. I do take it myself. So let's just say that this is a timeline that's legit. And let's say these guys knew that happened. Okay. So if we go back to our little time chart, this is my time chart. This is now time. So in the past, they did this to the water. And now we're finding out about it right now. Okay. Let's just say. So if everybody jumps in onto the timeline that this is actually a reality, and everybody phoned their little local, municipal, city, whatever, and found out what was in the water, or asked them if they were testing it before or after the treatment of it. If everybody did that, then this timeline becomes real, correct? So in the future, it doesn't happen anymore. Okay? So then we've killed that timeline. Now, logically, if these people knew about it already, then hopefully they did it in a sooner timeline and stopped it, much like the JABs, okay? Because some of the JABSs are saline. So I'm just using that as maybe, I won't say advocate of the DEVEIL, but, like it could be a thing that they fixed it already, like our food. Because if this guy apparently owns over 50% of land and he was DEAD in 2013, then these guys are controlling this guy since 2013 back here. I hope that makes sense. Okay? So from here to here, 2013 to 2022, why wouldn't stuff be affected positively in the new time frame going forward? And how do we know right now that some of the things, this is the other thing that I was thinking of, is some of the planes that we see flying over now, okay, how do we know that they're not spraying plus cloud cover to keep us safe? We don't know that either. So if you live in the fear vibrations that we're still getting poisoned, that's what happens to your vibrations. It's just like a hypochondriac. But if you believe that they're spreading this and keeping us safe from actually seeing a WAR going up on the skies like pew, 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 Star Wars, where people are going to lose their minds, that's the other part of it too we have to think about, is these timelines have to be played out to make us aware of what was also broken and also getting fixed. It's the same with the FED. That went bankrupt in 2018, but yet people are still talking about it 4 years later as if it's a real going on job, right? If it's, people still have jobs at the Fed. So you can see how the timelines are going like this to give people information. Because if you look at all of us as humans and all on different levels of toroidal energy and what we know in our knowledge and what we've experienced in this meat suit, then it affects all of these timelines. The sooner people learn and realize that this might be real, the more this speeds up that timeline of cancellation or affecting change. That's all. That's how I view it. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, as Kiwi Boy said, please like and share when possible. Not just part 1, but part 2. And it is necessary for these people to kind of get this information, whether it's just like, hey, I got something to teach my teenage kids and I'm homeschooling them, or it's like, hey, I want to share this with my grandparents because they knew. When I worked for that conservation district, I talked to a lot of farmers. I went to a lot of agriculture meetings all over the province. And the one thing I learned is that farmers were getting paid to spray. The average age of a farmer was 64 years old. 64 years old in that province. The other thing is that most of the farmers didn't know what they were using when it came right down to it. And the other thing that the farmers, I learned across Canada, debt. Debt is the number one thing that binds these farmers to keep producing the same kind of food that they've been doing all this time. So there's a lot of debt that farmers have, that if we had clean water and if we had proper irrigation, then not only would our food be healthier, but we would also be healthier, and our farmers probably wouldn't be in so much debt because of the way we actually farm. So a lot of things that were done is cutting down trees, shelter belts. People cut down their shelter belts, and what that did was for every 12 inches of, I don't know how big 12 inches, like a tree like this, it absorbs like, I don't know, 17, 18,000 gallons of water, just one tree in a flood. So it's absorbing the flood, turning it back into oxygen for us. So when you cut down those trees, you're taking out the root system that also perforates the ground. So when the water falls down in rain, if there is not enough aeration and we've been putting crap on top of it to dehydrate our soil, it becomes like concrete and the water just runs right off. So there are better farming methods that more people are adopting now that are better for the land and replacing nutrients back into the land. And there is a plethora of natural ways to do it. Some people burn their property and retill the soil for a few years. And I've met a number of farmers that have done some amazing things and produced amazing quality of food because they repaired the land naturally instead of going with all of the commercial ways we've been taught. And the other thing a lot of people don't know is that the stuff that this guy owns, he also owns half of Monsanto. Okay, not only the farmlands, but half of Monsanto, along with SOROS. So Agent Orange, yes, is 10% of what Roundup Ready is. The rest is water. That's all I have to say about that, kids. So if it's banned in Europe from being used, there's a number of chemicals that are not allowed in Europe. Atrazine is one of them. And we pour 80 billions of that crap in North America on our farm or more. So it's so beyond toxic, it makes the movie Aaron Brockovich look like a joke. Okay? That's why they told us about that movie. So just keep that movie in mind, because after I introduced the guest speaker who spoke about the water quality on the ski hill and the lands and everything, I got fired. I got fired and called Aaron Brockovich for a good year from these citizens who didn't understand that I was standing up for their clean drinking water. and their right to have people not have breast cancer, skin cancer. In the area where I work from 1967 to 1975, there was more people born with birth defects, breast cancer, brain tumors, you name it, because they dammed the lake above, the stream above, and made a lake. And then all of the farmers down below got the crappy runoff from what was going on and never got reimbursed monetarily. And that's what goes on all over the world. They build a dam, sell you the water, you never get reimbursed. So this all needs to stop. This is our right to free resources. So one of the ways you can affect change is phone your city, your town council, ask them. Like I said, you can phone the Water Conservation District in Canada. There's many offices. There's 19 to 20 offices in each province, sometimes more, of conservation districts, your local water conservation districts. So you can ask them. There's scientists who go and provide reports for what's in the well waters, and not in the well waters, but in the runoff water, in the lakes, in the rivers and streams. And then in the city, you can go and ask your people who are doing the water treatment plant. So you can take action. You can participate. Don't think this is something that you can't do. It's a simple phone call. And if you're like me, you'll just say, hi, my name's Karen. Yeah, no offense to the Karens out there. My name's Karen, and I just got some questions I'd like to ask you. So, and then phone. So just keep it simple. Just, my kids are working on a school project. I got some questions. It's for homeschooling. Use that line. So anyways, I appreciate you all. Light and love to everyone on your journey and your sharing of truths. And I hope you do share this video with your children, especially, or your loved ones. It's important. Water is life.